supposed to be an easy assignment.
Hey, what's the first rule when entering a man's car? Good. This was a favor. I don't usually do this sort of a job.
I thought you were a professional driver.
A different kind of driving.
But in Frank Martin's line of work,
Jack Billings, this is Dr. Coughlin.
Room 3 on your left.
nothing is ever what it seems.
Jack! Get going, Jack! I'm okay! Hello.
You have 2 hours to get me $20 million in non-sequential $100 bills.
2 hours, Mr. Billings. Starting now.
We don't know who we're dealing with. We think the driver may be in on it.
That's impossible.
Now,
He could have been setting us up the whole time and you wouldn't have known any different.
Got him.
the best in the business
Is it stable?
yes, stable, good, is back in the game.
What do you know?
It's more than a kidnapping.
What are you gonna do?
Find the guy responsible.
He's your friend?
Jason Statham,
Hold on.
Just came out of the dry cleaners.
Impressive.
Transporter 2,
Transporter 2 is the sequel to the Jason Statham-led action movie The Transporter, a very 2000s-like experience. This sequel was released on September 2nd, 2005. If you've subscribed to me, you will know that I dig the first Transporter movie. Do I like this second installment? Well, let's find out. Frank Martin goes to Miami to protect a U.S. government official's son, Jack Billings. But when he takes him to his doctor's checkup, a group of terrorists posing as doctors try to give Jack a shot and kidnap him. As Frank's Inc. tries to stop him and prove that he is not working with the terrorists that kidnapped Jack to the mother and father of Jack, he discovers a plot to unleash a deadly disease that spreads when anyone is even around a person that has it. They will get it. I think that the story is good. It's not great, but it does have some elements that do work. First of all, it duplicates the style of the first movie fairly well. Actually, it does it so fucking well that I believe it's a sequel to The Transporter. Also, the element that Frank is fighting for the defenseless because they actually appreciate his work is carried over into the sequel. And it is done without making Frank try to be a fucking goody two-shoes Boy Scout. Well, for the most part. I think that alone is pretty damn admirable. The writers were smart enough not to destroy the character development that Frank went through in the first movie, and to make him relatable as possible. The part where he tries to order a pizza alone is a perfect example. Now, you could argue that the addition of Jack, the U.S. official's son, makes the story a lot more kid-friendly. But honestly, I did not get that at all. Why? Well, it kind of reminds me of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. How the hell did you come to that conclusion, I hear you say? Hear me out. Both movies add a kid as one of the protagonists that are with the hero. They made it a lot more kid-friendly, but somehow a lot more disturbing than the original. You might see it in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, but how is The Transporter 2 more disturbing than the first one? Well, The fact that the terrorists are creating a disease that is highly contagious is a whole other kind of disturbing. It's the realistic kind. And that is even ignoring the fact that we're in a pandemic right now. Honestly, there were times where I felt uncomfortable when I first watched it, but I always found the inoculation scene fucking disturbing. Because I always thought that shots hurt. But unlike Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, I felt Transporter 2 was still a genuinely fun movie, and the disturbing shit was not added to make the movie needlessly cruel. It was necessary for the story. Besides, I would still not let a kid see this, because of the strong, albeit very brief, language. The only complaint that I really have with the story is that it does not really have the depth of the first movie, but then again, it doesn't really have to. It is still a fucking blast to watch, and it has enough elements to give it edge, and make itself compelling. It is also not corny or cheesy, unlike a certain 90s blockbuster with aliens and fireworks that I reviewed previously. And I think you know which one it is. Although the line said by the terrorist, "I think you've been cancelled," is a pretty cheesy line. So much that I can't help but laugh. I guess that's better than wanting to groan, though. The action scenes are fucking awesome, much like the first movie. While almost all the gunplay is not really cathartic, it still has plenty of fight scenes. In fact, there's a lot of fighting in this movie, which is just as good. There are also some explosions, which definitely makes the action better. The editing is done very intricately, just like the first movie. So, in other words, the action is just as fucking great as the first one. The production values are fair. I kind of like the cinematography. It is perfect to look at in the afternoon. This movie in general is great to watch on a sunny afternoon. The sound may not be anything special, but I really like the music. There are some damn good songs in the end credits. Overall, Transporter 2 is a good sequel and a good movie on its own. While I don't like it as much as the first one, it has plenty of good qualities. It has a mature feel and at times disturbing elements. It has Frank being Frank and going after deplorable bastards and the bitch that told him to drive recklessly at gunpoint. And finally, it has action scenes very reminiscent of the first movie. I cannot stress this enough. A sequel must have a hell of a lot of things that made the original great to be worthy. But it can, and probably should, change things up a bit as well. Otherwise, it runs the risk of being a copy of the first one. I don't know about you, but I think this movie succeeded at doing both of these requirements. I give Transporter 2 4 out of 5 stars with the title of Awesome. Anyway, I'm Spike Robot. Thank y'all for watching, and later.
I only wanted the blessing me. Now I've been labeled